This is our episode review for Dandadan episode 9, Merge, Serpo Dover Demon Nessie. That's the title of the episode. I read it. I can read. Uh, so, okay, before we get into the most controversial parts of this episode, I kind of want to go let's just go like block for block what happens, and then we can get into the super
Okay.
discussion about it.
Okay.
I'm kind of gonna blast through this episode a little bit because yeah, they were fighting. Yeah, there was little character moments that happened, but there's obviously a giant shrimp in the room that we need to talk about. Um, okay, so Shrimp and the gang square off with Okaru getting stripped and having to find clothes. I thought that him running around the whole place was really funny as he was trying to find clothes. It gave me kind of a classic cartoon vibe. And the fact that the amount of effort that it took to hide his junk in this episode was pretty impressive. So I guess you gotta give him that.
Props to
Uh,
him. Props to the animator.
Props to them. I really liked Okaru's transformation into the demon form with the glass breaking and showing his reveal. I thought that was really cool. We got to see acrobatic Silky's demon form, or Ira's acrobatic Silky's demon form, whatever. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought she looked dope. I like the aliens calling their telekinesis power the Awesome Zone. I think that that's
Yeah, domain expansion.
I think
The
that that's
awesome zone.
I think that that's hilarious. The aliens take over the shrimp's body uh, after they hired the shrimp somehow. Did they hire him on like Craigslist? I don't know how the hiring
Fiber.
system works. Something they're like Facebook Marketplace. This guy, or yeah, what's that thing that you can call somebody to like put up your TV? Like, you know what I'm
Like
talking
Angie's
about?
List or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. They Angie listed this shrimp team, and they're like, "Hey, we need you for one job, beat up some kids." Yeah.
You need
So
to
then,
steal some bananas.
yeah, some bananas, and he was not expecting these kind of bananas. Momo, Ira, and Okaru's three-way romantic triangle is pretty hilarious throughout this episode, especially with demon form Okarun like defending Momo every time she says something. He's like, "Yeah, babe, that's a great idea." Like, I thought that was hilarious each time it happened. So good on demon form Okarun for still being the um I don't know, the simp he is. Uh we find out that Okaru names the Godzilla looking thing Nessie after the Loch Ness monster. So
He got so excited. It was so funny.
that was cool. Okaru and Momo have an argument about their relationship in the middle of the battle, which was kind of crazy. But good for Okaru for describing exactly how he was feeling and telling Momo how he was, and then they go underwater naked in front of each other. And I guess I thought it was kind of cool, beautiful moment for them looking into each other's eyes. But then he's naked, so whatever. We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't worry. We'll get there. The aliens merge with Nessie, the kids defeat them, and then everybody sees them naked running through the halls. Okay, that's the episode rundown. Let's just talk about the naked kids. Let's talk about. It's all I wanted to talk about was the naked kids in the show, or I want to talk about the kids who were naked in this show because of it, because of what they chose to do. Anyway, kids were naked in the show. Okarun was fully naked throughout the entire thing. As I pointed out earlier, they did an extremely good job of hiding his junk in the most funny ways. But there were obvious plot points that had to do with him rubbing his junk on people and, kids looking at the junk. And they decided to strip for some reason, for water resistance. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the most of a naked man and then girls stripping in an anime, high school anime?
Uh, literally, like when we finished watching the episode, uh, Nico's turned to me and he's like, "You have to defend this when we record this." I'm like, "I don't know." He was so excited because he knew that I was gonna not know how to talk about this, and I really don't know how to talk about this. Um, I think I think I will preface in saying that. Uh. Dandadan is still one of my like most anticipated watches every week. Um, and this episode doesn't necessarily change that for me. Um, and like I still really, really like it. But I also want to say that in any anime I watch, I do not like fan service. It's just not for me. Especially because a lot of like the anime that is being put out revolves around like 16, 17, 15-year-old children. Um, and even when like for example, like in Fairy Tale, like a lot of them are of age, and a lot of the fan service revolves around the characters that are a little bit older, which I appreciate, but I still don't like fan service. It just makes me feel icky. I don't like watching it. Um,
Explain
so
to them what fan service is, because people in America take fan service as
okay,
like people in like Marvel. Like there's a
okay,
podcast that I watched that
okay.
people were
No,
like,
you're
"Hey,
right.
fan service is whatever." But yeah, explain what it is.
No, you're absolutely right. In like anime, fan service relates to showing either like girls or guys. It's mainly towards women, um, in like bikinis or in like scantily clothed, and they're just like all on the screen, like showing like their titties, showing their butt, like any like just it's for a specific audience and it's for a specific gaze. And that's kind of like or and not also like it just like it's just for a specific pleasureful view. Like it's not always scantily clothed or like no clothing at all. Sometimes it's like inmate outfits or like cat girl outfits, like just whatever is like the niche that they're trying to like um what's the word like
Go for?
yeah, like that they're trying to like show. Um, I don't really like it. It's icky to me. And this episode is probably like one of the most fan servicey heavy episodes in Dandadan that we've seen this far. But probably like one of the most fan servicey like heavy episodes I've watched in all of like anime. And I've been watching Fairy Tail, and Fairy Tail is like fucking crazy. With
Yeah.
fan service. Um, and I also don't like it there either. But like, so it kind of watching it made me feel uncomfortable. Um, but I also know that like it was still funny. Like it would be different if it was like overtly sexual, which it wasn't entirely. Um, because it could have been worse. It could have absolutely been worse. Um, but but yeah, like I just it doesn't make me not want to watch the show anymore. But the and I oh what I lost my train of thought. Where I was going was that I also know that like they are technically of age in Japan, and so it what is considered weird to the Western audience isn't as taboo in their like culture. So it's kind of like a give and take. But for
Yeah.
me, yeah.
So like here's my thing. Every anime, it seems, has these moments where, they're gonna make you uncomfortable with what they're showing on screen. I personally, like, I'm not super affected by it because it's whatever. I mean, like, they've had pervy. I've watched shit from fucking, from original Dragon Ball with Roshi going through like women's underwear and like getting nosebleeds every time. The Brock, the fiending over women in Pokemon. And it's like at this point, it's like it doesn't even really phase me, but I understand that DanDandan has now reached a level of audience that people are going to be kind of disturbed by what they see in this. And I'm not even gonna try and say that they did it artfully in like very not even on the nose because there's a point in this part of this show where Okaroon and Ira and Momo are all hanging out, not hanging out, but they're all of them are in one little section of this room. And Momo's like, strip so we can get water resistant. Despite them running around and floating in this water the entire time, she's just like, strip, it'll make us more water resistant. Like, where do they even come from? What are you even talking about? Like, they didn't have the strip at all. So, I don't know. They decided to strip the girls down for whatever reason. And then we see Momo talking about riding. Maybe this happened right before that, but
It did.
Momo's talking about riding Okaroon, and she shows a literal demonstration of how she's gonna ride him with her powers, where she shows
It was a
Okaroon
gestural
like yeah
motion, yeah.
going forward, and then the
Like
her
grappling a
telekinesis
fish.
yes, so her like technical hands or her telekinesis hands were like going forward with it, and it's like she's talking about riding and going down, and it's like you
Him and I
know
looked at each other and we were like,
you know
"Hello?"
you know
Like,
so it's like I have thoughts that go to places that are like, all right, you didn't have to do that. And there are ways I guess you could have tastefully shown that. But like, I don't know, you want to stay true to the source material. And then there's talks of how what you want to do with censorship. And it's like ultimately who gives a fuck? Because it's like it's just a small part in a show that is about demons and they're trying to get this guy's ball back. So I guess you should be prepared to see this kind of stuff anyway. And I think
yeah.
and I think the only thing that makes this different than say like let's just say this happened in I don't know, Invincible. Like let's just say Mark Grayson lost his suit and he needed to hide around. He was naked and he had to like hug Adam Eve. And it's like if you're watching that, it's on Amazon. It's already rated R thing. We've had plenty of evidence in that show that talk about sex. They literally blow someone's brains out. Amazon has the boys. You know what I'm talking about? Like there are plenty of evidence to show you that this is what that is, right? Meanwhile,
Yeah.
this is a show where they're in high school, and while they are in high school in parts of Invincible, they're now in college. They aged them up to where they're in college, and like
Yeah, they didn't start being like
yeah,
they
there
didn't
was
start
no
having
sex
sex
in high
until
high
they were,
school.
yeah.
Yeah. There was no like there were parts where it was like regular stuff where they would show them like, oh, they're gonna make out, they're gonna do something in high school, but they wouldn't show it. And I'm not saying
Which
they
is
did not
also
sh
like sorry.
no, well, they didn't show sex in this. They did not show that, but it's heavily uh I don't know, man. You take what you want from that. I think that we saw what
No,
she
like
did. We talked about her riding him. We shown
mhm.
he was on top of her and she was like so glad you're hard at the very end. She literally said, "So glad you
Yeah, and
were
Okaroon
hard."
was like, "What are you talking about?"
Like that, them exploding out, and then them having the after, I don't know, sex glaze on their face, where they're like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah," like they were. That was it, man. That was it. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like what I was gonna say is like you referencing Invincible and like what happens when they're in high school versus like what happens when they're of age. Like it's a Western like made material. So like that makes sense because that aligns with like the Western like ideology of like sex and like sexuality and
Yeah,
stuff like that. Like this is very normalized in anime. So it's like it's not like that it's not expected, but it's still like oh, like you can still be taken aback by it. So I definitely like I think it's definitely like to each their own with this episode. But like the like fight scenes were really cool, like despite it all. And like I really liked how when you're in like the demon world or like when there's like they're surrounded by the water and stuff, I really liked how it had like that green tint to everything. Like the colorization was really nice. There was still like a lot of things to love about this episode, but f at least for me especially, it was very like, oh, it was
Yeah.
very on the nose with some of the things that they were showing and were being said.
That's kind of why I wanted to kind of go over quickly about what happened in the episode because it's like, yeah, they're cool. I like, I thought the shrimp being on time where he was just like, I
Yeah.
want a break, and then gets taken over by the alien's body, and then that alien being taken over by that body. The aliens aren't working together. They're bad at working together.
Yeah.
Um, I thought that Ira and Okaru's demon forms working together did had really good chemistry, unironically.
So did I.
And I liked Ira's demon form. I thought that looked pretty
hmm
cool. I
Me
can't
too.
wait to see it not in the green tint.
hmm
I want to see it outside of it being one color. Um, I mean, yeah, I mean this episode was fine. This is it's a fine episode. I think this is just a massive kind of distraction from like where they're going in the story. And like again, it's a story about a kid trying to get his balls back.
Yeah, so it's yeah.
So like I get it. I understand. I'm self-aware enough to talk to understand that that's the kind of thing I'm watching. I still can have the opinion that that makes me uncomfortable
Mhm.
seeing,
Yeah,
a
exactly.
16-year-old boy run around and then rub his junk on both girls basically and
And
then
then wake up,
have them
quote
strip and
unquote,
then
on
yeah, well
top of her.
then have them strip, get on top of him again and then have them ride him multiple times and then have him wake up in a daze naked in front of his entire classmates and they're taking pictures of it. It's you know what? It's I think it's a little weird. I think it might have been a little much um for my conservative heart apparently. That's what I'm gonna be labeled now for talking about the U.S. having great holidays and then me being like the kids shouldn't be naked on TV.
Like that's why I wanted to preface that like I personally just don't like fan service and like but it doesn't deter me from still thinking that this is probably like my favorite show that we've watched this season and it's still my
Yeah.
most anticipated show. I just me personally that's not my taste and I know that a lot of people do like it whether you're like kind of weird or not. So
Yeah.
it's like it's a to each their own thing.
Yeah, that's kind of it. That's all I kind of have for this episode. I mean, this is the the only other big thing I think that happened in this episode was Okarun and Momo having that moment
Yeah,
where he
yeah, I
talks with
like
her
completely forgot about that. I
and
thought
I
that that
think
was really nice.
yeah, I thought that that was a really good moment for I think a male character speaking to,
hmm
a woman character in that kind of tone. 'Cause I feel like a lot of times it comes from the girls trying to explain to a guy who doesn't understand. And
Yeah,
I think that that's good representation for the guy having, uh, thinking with his head and not with his dick that was out, which is funny
his
because
one
Momo,
ball.
his one ball out. Because it's funny because Momo was immediately like crazy that coming from you when you're naked. And she's like, okay, fair, but like
You
not
know,
the point.
I did really like that. I liked the representation of like emotional maturity from a male perspective because like it's true. Like you always see like the woman that's like trying to get the guy to understand her and to like have emotional maturity and to like communicate also. And in this instance, you have him trying to like get her to talk about it outside of like accusing him of things and letting her know how he feels and that he's still like taking into consideration her feelings. Like that's so important to like teach that like open communication and um emotional maturity and like emotional intelligence are very, very important, not only in a platonic relationship, but absolutely in a romantic relationship.
Hilarious timing to try and say that.
Yeah.
Hilarious timing to try and express this. teach the kids a lesson. I guess in this
Yeah.
weird
I'm
time you
both
just choose
naked.
that. But hey, I mean, when else but in the present? Um, yeah, that's kind of all I got for this episode. It's not really there wasn't really much else. The fights are cool. I like Godzilla. I like the aliens are back. I like the shrimp monster. Was there anything else you had about Dandadans this week?
I think my last thing is that I've been seeing a lot of TikTok discourse about, which I find really funny, about Ira being a pick me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And um a lot of the content that I was getting was like in favor of Momo and like very, very negative towards Ira. And like Ira still kind of like irritates me, but I get the potential in her character and I really like kind of like where it's kind of going. But yeah, she was a pick me in this episode, absolutely.
That was the funniest part from her was when Corinne was like, "Yeah, it's Nessie," and then she'd be like, "Oh my God,
Yeah, that
oh
was
my God, a Nessie?
Can you
Really?
she
Tell
was
me
like, tell
more.
me more.
Tell me more about Nessie. Oh
You know
my
what? I did kind of get
God."
her. I kind of got her in that sense.
And then
I
fucking when
love when
Okarun
they
turned
nerd
back
out.
into a dude, when Okarun turned back into a demon and was like, I'm just a I'm just a chill guy. I'm just an awkward guy. And then fucking then zooming in on Momo with the like the fuzzy PNG face of her was so funny. This show is extremely funny. I think that it had that's what I mean. Like the ability to be as controversial as it can be. I don't think this is the worst it's gonna get. I'm just gonna say it there. I don't think this is the worst it's gonna get.
Oh, well, buckle in,
We
buckos,
definitely
cause
have room to continue it. But you know what? This was our. I'm still gonna say watch the show. I'm still gonna say watch the show. We're still gonna watch the show. How are you guys feeling about the show? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching our last video. We do these reaction videos every week to the latest honestly, DanDandan Dragon Ball Daima. We do these reactions every week. So, thank you guys for watching, but also let us know in the comments below. You guys always blow us away with the comments, and we look forward to them every week. So let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching while you're down there. Leave a like, subscribe, stay a while. Go on our channel, look around at our channel's content. It's cool.